What's up, everybody? This is Tech G back with another video to help you successfully pass the CompTIA A+ 1202 certification exam. So let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about operating systems. They're running in the background, making sure everything plays nicely together on your computer or your mobile device. Now, if you're studying for the CompTIA A+ 1202 exam, then you've got to know them inside and out. So in this video, I'm going to break it all down for you. The different types of operating systems, their purposes, various file systems, lifecycle limitations, and what compatibility issues you need to keep in mind when you're bouncing between Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, and everything else in between. So with that being said, let's go. All right, so let's talk about workstation operating systems. So when we talk about workstation operating systems, we're usually referring to the ones that power desktops and laptops. And these are the full-featured operating systems used by everyday users, businesses, gamers, and tech professionals alike. And the first one is Windows. So love it or hate it, you cannot escape it. This is the most widely used desktop operating system in the world. Whether you're in an office, school, or even a hospital, chances are someone is using a Windows machine nearby. So why do people use it? Well, it offers broad software compatibility. You can use Microsoft Office, Adobe Suite, you name it. It has huge gaming support. It has a very familiar interface, and it is easy to find support and tutorials for it. And the common use cases are it's used in business workstations, gaming rigs, and developer machines, especially when you pair it with Windows subsystem for Linux. Now, as a fun fact, most malware is written for Windows, not because it's insecure, but because it has the largest user base, aka it is the biggest target. Then we have Linux. Now, Linux is like that cool, mysterious friend who knows a ton but doesn't show off. This is an open source operating system, meaning anyone can tweak and customize it to their heart's content. And so why do people use this operating system? Well, it's great for programmers, system administrators, and cybersecurity professionals. It's super customizable. It's free and open source, and it's lightweight and fast, even on old hardware. And the common use cases are, you can find it being used in servers like web servers, file servers, DNS servers, you name it. It's used in penetration testing. Think of Kali Linux, which is what you're looking at on your screen right here. You can find it in Raspberry Pi projects. And it also offers privacy-focused desktops. And some of the most popular Linux distributions are Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, Kali, and Arch. Then there's macOS. Now, macOS, this is Apple's desktop operating system, and it's all about polish, simplicity, and integration. So if you ever used a MacBook, then you know how buttery smooth things can feel. So why do people use it? Well, it offers seamless integration with other Apple devices. It's excellent for creative work. So think of video editing, music production, and design. It's Unix-based, which means it's good for developers, and it's secure and stable. And its common use cases are, it's used by a lot of creative professionals, software developers, and people who are deeply invested in the Apple ecosystem. Now, here's the only major drawback with macOS. It only runs on Apple hardware only, at least legally. Next, we have Chrome OS. Now, Chrome OS, this is the new kid on the block. It is a lightweight cloud-first operating system developed by Google and built for speed and simplicity. So why do people use it? Well, it offers fast boot times, it's easy to manage, it has a secure sandbox environment, and it's on cheap devices like Chromebooks. And you can find this thing being used in K-12 education, people who like to use it for casual web browsing and email, or remote work with cloud applications, so think of Google Workspace. And when it comes to limitations, it has limited offline capabilities and software, though Linux and Android applications are now supported on this operating system as well. All right, so let's talk about mobile operating systems. So while workstation operating systems are the heavy lifters, mobile operating systems are the smooth operators in your pocket. So let's go ahead and break them down. The first one is iOS. And iOS, this runs on iPhones, and they offer a tightly controlled and secure ecosystem. And the reasons people use it is because it offers a smooth user experience. It has consistent updates, tight privacy controls, and deep integration with other Apple services. Its drawbacks, it is less customizable, and it is only limited to App Store applications. Then there's iPad OS. Now, this was originally a branch of iOS, and iPad OS, this was introduced to give iPads more productivity features like multitasking, a proper file system application, and external drive support. So why does this matter? Well, it turns iPads into lightweight laptop replacements. And this is great for media consumption and light productivity. Another mobile operating system is Android. And Android, this is the open source answer to iOS and powers the majority of smartphones around the world. And it's known for being customizable and available on a wide variety of devices. So why do people use it? Well, it offers tons of device options. It is highly customizable and it integrates great with Google. Now, when it comes to the drawbacks, it has inconsistent update schedules, and there's the potential bloatware that you can get from manufacturers when you install this operating system. All right, so let's move on and talk about file system types. Now, every operating system, it needs a way to store, organize, and retrieve data for the ones that you need to know for the A+ exam. The first one is called NTFS, or New Technology File System, and this is used by Windows. It supports large files, it supports file permissions, and it supports journaling to help recover from crashes. Its drawbacks, well, it has limited support on macOS and Linux, where it only offers read-only without any of the extra tools. All right, next we have what is called REFS, or Resilient File System, and this is used by Windows Server and some Windows Pro and Enterprise editions. Its strengths are it has high fault tolerance, it's ideal for large data volumes, it supports auto healing for data corruption. However, it is not typically used on standard desktop PCs. You have what is called FAT32, our file allocation table, and this is used by USB drives, memory cards, and older systems. Its strengths, it is universally supported and it is lightweight. Its drawbacks are it supports a 4 GB maximum file size, and it has a maximum partition size of 32 GB on Windows. You have what is called exFAT, or extensible file allocation table, and this is used by flash drives, SD cards, and it offers cross-platform sharing. Its strengths, there is no 4 GB file limit like FAT32, and this is widely supported where it can be used on Windows, Mac, and Linux with drivers. However, its drawbacks are it has no journaling or advanced features like NTFS. Then there's the ext4, or the fourth extended file system, and this is used by most Linux distributions. Its strengths, it offers journaling support, it's reliable and fast, and it supports large files and volumes. Then you have XFS, and this is used by enterprise-grade Linux systems like Red Hat and CentOS. Its strengths, it has high performance, it's very scalable, and this is great for large files when it comes to video editing or managing a database. Then you also have what is called APFS, or the Apple File System, and this is used by macOS and iOS. Its strengths, it offers fast file duplication, strong encryption support, and it is very crash resistant. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about vendor lifecycle limitations. So not all operating systems are immortal. In fact, most of them come with an expiration date. So when an operating system reaches EOL, or end of life, the vendor stops providing updates, which makes the system vulnerable to security risks. So let's talk about EOL, and some examples are Windows 7, it hit EOL back in January 2020. Windows 10 recently just reached EOL back in October 2025. And some older Android versions, they will lose support quickly depending upon the vendor. Now, why does this matter? Well, once you hit EOL, there are no more security patches, your software compatibility drops, and there is an increased risk of you getting malware on your system. Also, when it comes to vendor lifecycle limitations, you have update limitations. So some systems, they get updates regularly, while others are at the mercy of the manufacturer. When it comes to Windows, it has frequent updates, which is called Patch Tuesday. And you also have feature updates that are dropped every year or so. macOS, this operating system is supported for about 5 to 7 years. Android, depending upon your phone maker, some only provide 1 to 2 years of updates. iOS and iPad OS, they usually get about 5 to 6 years of updates, even on older devices. Now, why should you care about any of this? Well, if your operating system isn't getting updated, then it is essentially a ticking time bomb. And then that brings us to compatibility concerns between operating systems. So what happens when you're working in a world full of different operating systems where you're going to have compatibility issues? So let's go ahead and break down the big ones. The first big issue is file format compatibility. So NTFS drives, they cannot be written to by macOS without third-party tools. Also, macOS Time Machine drives, they are not usable in Windows, and Linux file systems like ext4, they need special drivers to be read on Windows. Then there's application compatibility. So Windows applications, they will not run natively on Linux or Mac. And some apps, they may have cross-platform versions like Chrome or VS Code. And also virtualization or emulation like Wine or Parallels can help, but they are not always perfect. And then you have mobile and desktop applications. So an iOS application will not run on Android and vice versa. And many apps, they have cloud versions to bridge the gap like Google Docs and Microsoft 365. And then you have file sharing protocols. So SMB, which is used by Windows, this might not play nicely with macOS or Linux without a few tweaks. And NFS, which is used by Unix and Linux, this may not work out of the box on Windows. So the bottom line is this: when working in mixed environments, you'll often need to install extra software, change some type of settings, or use cloud-based tools to keep everything running smoothly. So why does any of this matter for the A+ exam? So here's the thing. The point of learning all this stuff is not just to pass the exam, although we definitely want to do that. This is about understanding how tech ecosystems work. You're going to need to know which operating system to recommend based on the user's need. You're going to need to understand what file systems work where, especially when setting up external drives or dual boot systems. You're also going to need to be aware of update policies and EOL risks so that you don't leave a system exposed, and you need to know how to handle compatibility issues, especially if you're supporting users in a mixed Windows, Mac, Linux, mobile world. So whether you're getting into IT support, system administration, or you're just trying to fix your grandma's old laptop, this knowledge is going to serve you very well. All right, so let me go ahead and wrap all this up. Operating systems, they may seem overwhelming at first because there's a lot of jargon, a lot of acronyms, and different use cases. But trust me, once you get the hang of the core ideas, and everything's going to start clicking. So just remember, Windows, this is the most common operating system and is great for general use. Linux, this is flexible and powerful, but it requires you to tinker the system a little bit. Mac OS is smooth and polished, but its hardware is limited. Chrome OS, this is lightweight and is great for web-based browsing. iOS and Android, this dominates the mobile space. File systems, you could think of them like the blueprint for how your files are organized. EOL and updates, you never want to ignore these. And compatibility, there's always a workaround if you understand the limitations. So don't stress it. Study at your own pace. Review this video a couple of times. And before you know it, you'll be speaking operating systems fluently. So with that being said, let's do some check on learning. So our first question is, which of the following file systems is most commonly used by modern Linux distributions? Would this be NTFS, APFS, exFAT, or ext4? And the correct answer is ext4. So ext4, or the fourth extended file system, this is the default and most widely used file system for modern Linux distributions. NTFS is primarily used by Windows. APFS is used by macOS and iOS. And exFAT, this is used for external drives that need compatibility across platforms. Next question. What is the key reason organizations should avoid using an operating system that has reached its end-of-life status? Is it the user interface becomes outdated, the operating system no longer supports USB devices, there are no more security patches or updates that are being provided, or it cannot be used on touchscreen devices? And the correct answer is there are no more security patches or updates that are being provided. So once an operating system reaches EOL or end of life, the vendor stops releasing updates, including security patches, and this makes the system vulnerable to malware and security threats. And this is a critical risk in enterprise and personal environments alike. And our final question is, which operating system is best suited for low-cost cloud-based computing environments such as K-12 education? Is it Windows, Chrome OS, Mac OS, or Linux? And the correct answer is Chrome OS. So Chrome OS, this is a lightweight cloud-focused operating system developed by Google. It's commonly used in educational settings because it's secure, easy to manage, and runs on affordable Chromebook devices. It also emphasizes simplicity and cloud integration, making it ideal for classrooms.